Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be looking at the state's efforts to expand the social protection programs for the new fiscal year 2023-2024. About a 48.8% increase for the budget allocated to the social protection programs. We're going to be focusing on that tonight. But before we start doing that, let's check out some of the main stories making the news today. We'll start off with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, him and Buhra Sultan Mufaddal Saifuddin on Tuesday inspected the Sayyida Nafisa Mosque in the heart of Cairo after its renovation and addressed the inauguration ceremony for the renovation of the mosque. President al-Sisi also performed prayers in the mosque. He was accompanied by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Endowments Mohammed Mukhtar Guma, and Cairo Governor Khaled Abdel. At the beginning of the ceremony, the attendees listened to the recitation of verses from the Holy Quran. Buhra Sultan Saifuddin addressed the ceremony, thanking President al-Sisi and expressing his happiness to attend the inauguration of the mosque after its renovation. The Sultan also expressed his appreciation to Egypt, notably the Ministry of Endowments as well as the armed forces, for their efforts in renovating and restoring mosques all over the country. Earlier on Monday, President al-Sisi received the Sultan of the Indian Bohra sect, Mufaddal Saifuddin, his sons and his representative in Cairo, Mufaddal Muhammad, in the attendance of Chief of the General Intelligence Agency, Abbas Kamil. Also, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Serbia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister, Miloš Vučević, on Tuesday. The meeting was attended by Minister of Defense Mohammed Zaki. Presidential spokesperson Ahmed Fahmy said that President al-Sisi conveyed his regards to the Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, stressing Cairo's appreciation of the historical ties between the two countries. The President expressed Cairo's keenness to cement bilateral cooperation with Serbia in all domains, including the defense field, and to activate partnership in accordance with the two countries' capabilities. For his part, the Deputy Prime Minister, who is also Serbia's Defense Minister, conveyed regards from the Serbian President. He said the Serbian President appreciates strong ties with Cairo and the role played by the Egyptian diplomacy on the regional and international stages under the leadership of President al-Sisi. He further hailed Cairo's vital role in countering terrorism and achieving stability, security and development in the region. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also received a phone call from the Kenyan President William Ruto. The talks discussed boosting bilateral ties and exchanging points of view over a number of African issues of mutual concern, especially the situation in Sudan and the Nile Basin countries. They also tackled means of boosting bilateral ties and coordinating to strengthen joint African action to achieve sustainable development. Backing efforts to reach continental integration on all levels were also discussed. And Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry conveyed an oral message from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the Tunisian President Kais Saied during his meeting with the Tunisian leader today. In his message, President al-Sisi hailed the distinguished ties binding the two nations during the past years and referred to a historic visit paid by the Tunisian president to Cairo in April 2021, which represented a turning point and a quantum leap in bilateral relations. During the meeting, Shoukry renewed Egypt's support to the Tunisian leader's procedures and efforts, which are aimed at building a better future for the Tunisian people, as well as achieving stability and development around the country. For his part, the Tunisian president conveyed his greetings and appreciation to President al-Sisi and expressed the two states' consensus regarding all regional issues and international challenges. He further praised Egypt's support to Tunisia in confronting all challenges and called on to continue consultations at the foreign ministers' levels to guarantee a consensus concerning various issues, in addition to activating a joint action to enhance bilateral ties. The meeting tackled a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern, including the situation in Sudan, Libya and the occupied Palestinian territories, as well as illegal immigration. And earlier, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry co-chaired with his Tunisian counterpart Nabil Ammar meetings of the 15th round of the consultation committee between Egypt and Tunisia. Delegations from the two countries attended the meeting in Tunis, which focused on bilateral relations files, in addition to several regional and international files of mutual concern. The two ministers hailed the strong progress in bilateral relations in recent years. Both sides stressed on the significance of continuing coordination and cooperation regarding all files of mutual concern in order to develop these relations to the strategic level. These were some of the stories making the news today, but now focusing our attention on the social protection programs. Let's check out this report regarding the state budget increasing its allocation for the protection programs by 48.8% for the year 2023-2024. Let's check it out and we'll be right back.
President Fattah al-Sisi has ordered an almost 50% increase in appropriations for various subsidy and social protection programs in the budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 in order to ease the burden on citizens during the global inflation wave. Minister of Finance Mohammed Maid said the budget for subsidy and social protection network would increase from 358.4 billion Egyptian pounds in fiscal year 2022-2023 to 529.7 billion Egyptian pounds in fiscal year 2023-2024, an increase of 48.8%. Minister Maid added that this increase would allow the state to expand social protection network for the most vulnerable families as part of overall efforts to improve standards of living. The minister explained that 127.7 billion pounds had been allocated in the new budget to subsidize food commodities, a 41.9% increase over the 90 billion Egyptian pounds figure in the current fiscal year. He said that 119.4 billion pounds have been allocated to subsidize petroleum products, adding that 6 billion pounds have been allocated for health insurance and medicines, 58.2% increase over figures in the current fiscal year. The minister noted 2 billion pounds had been allocated for subsidized housing, 31.5% increase over figures in the current fiscal year. Maid noted that 31 billion pounds had been allocated for social security pensions, a 25% increase over figures in the current fiscal year. Additionally, 202 billion pounds have been allocated for pension fund contributions, an increase of 6% over the 191 billion Egyptian pounds figure in the current fiscal year, which will guarantee financial liquidity necessary to serve pensioners, beneficiaries and the insured. In addition, the state has embarked 8 billion pounds to cover the cost of medical treatments to citizens with an annual growth rate of 14.3%. Minister Maid stressed that the state is forging ahead with efforts to complete the first phase of Decent Life presidential initiative to develop countryside. In this respect, he said the state is moving ahead with the second stage of Decent Life initiative in a bid to achieve comprehensive development, fight poverty and secure decent life to 60% of Egyptians. Moreover, the minister said that the government was taking necessary measures to support agriculture and industrial productive sectors, allocating 19.5 billion pounds to support credit facilities for owners of industrial and agricultural projects to stimulate expansion of production.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio to shed more light on our topic by Dr. Amany Hawla, the social development expert. Dr. Hawla, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Hawla, first of all, many times we've been talking about social protection programs, the Decent Life Initiative, Takaful and Karama, Solidarity and Dignity Initiative, and many other things. And we do realize how much of a difference it makes for the Egyptian society and for the vulnerable groups within the society. But now the President has directed to have an increase for the budget allocated for the social protection programs, 48.8, that's almost 50%, from 358.4 billion to 529.7 billion pounds for the next year. How much of a difference will it make, this sort of increase? The sort of, are we going to have more of a budget for the families, or will it be trying to include more vulnerable families? How will this work, this increase?
We have to put in consideration that we have a developing country, developing community. People are getting more raised awareness about the future, about the projects are made either through the private sector or even the governmental sector. It all consumes a lot to control or to help to go with the big expansion of all the projects happening on the ground. And also, unfortunately, still we are suffering from the overpopulation.
Yes.
We have almost a huge number, almost 2 million,
yes,
increasing per year, which is giving very hard responsibility to control or to cope with it. So still they have parallel lines to distribute the increase and to try to avoid by the experience the losses or the mistakes or even the wrong directions of previous programs.
Well, are the social protection programs becoming more like the social welfare that exists in other international or Western countries, the social security and social welfare? Is it becoming, is it the same sort of concept? Is it becoming the same concept? And you've mentioned the losses that could be suffered through these social protection programs. And a lot of analysts and observers, such as yourself, working in civil society and NGOs, they always say, well, sometimes not the most needy or vulnerable get the benefits of these social protection programs. Some who don't deserve it take a lot of the benefits from the social protection programs. How can the government work on really protecting the vulnerable people and their entitled sums from these social protection programs and making sure those who don't deserve it don't get any?
You are touching the most important and most difficult point in human nature, unfortunately. To err is human. We all make mistakes and we all try to make the perfect or utopic image, but we never can reach it. But at least we try to achieve the maximum we can. So transparency and using the technology and controlling the system by database, strong and available database everywhere will help a lot to prevent the intruders or people who are trying to pretend or use these good initiatives to get the best out of them. So we can make the database expanded and the network including all the details, starting from medical care, even vocational training, even any kind of support or even supplies or any help should be put on the database system network, so people can be easily discovered. Because I know people, they are professional in just going everywhere, asking and pretending and trying to act as they are needy. And we discover, for example, so they have houses, they have buildings owned by them, or they have a few tuk-tuks. I know a bigger, he has almost 3 tuk-tuks, and still he's living the same very poor image.
Yes.
So we have to work hard in controlling the data and make it available everywhere.
Well, the President also directed to actually increase the minimum wage for government employees to reach £3,500 a month, and also an increase of 15% for pensions. How will this sort of reflect on the rest of the society and the most needy and vulnerable sector of the society, increasing the sort of minimum wage, keeping in mind that the country and the whole world is going through its own inflation and higher prices? So how are these things going to balance themselves out?
Of course, this is a good step, but still it's not good enough. We have to make parallel steps by helping people to control the market. Because unfortunately, many goods are start to be higher in prices just because without any reason. The foreign money is the same, the condition is the same, but some people are using the crisis and trying to create more crisis. We need market control, we need community mobilization to make them understand that we are really in a very strong battle. We are not just, things are not moving by itself. No, there are always somebody who is trying to put the country in a crisis and problems and make people suffering all the time. So we have to make people understand that and avoid, for example, in Argentina they raised the price of the eggs. People stopped directly to buy. So the companies then, the eggs will be spoiled.
Yes.
So they return it to the same price. People refuse to take. Then they lower the price more than it was before. So it needs, we have feeble will in front of all the supplies we need. We have to be more stronger, and we understand that it's a battle. It's not just random rising of the prices or suffering or minus of the goods. It's sometimes made intentionally, but we have to understand that.
Yes. Well, Dr. Hawla, a lot of the social or a lot of the targeted citizens and families by the social protection programs are mainly women, single mothers as well, and homeless children. And I understand you do work with a lot of children and women, and you're helping them with their own projects and handicrafts and everything. Do they get what they deserve, or do the men try and get the majority of what they can get from the social protection programs? Are they getting all what they need? Are they getting all the attention, all the care, all the support, all the vocational training that is being offered by the social protection programs, by Takaful and Karama, Solidarity and Dignity, Decent Life Initiative, the Shoulder to Shoulder Initiative, which has been distributing about 4 million boxes of food products? How are they getting enough attention and care, the women and the children?
We have to admit that we have a problem in our culture. We are used to deny the good things happening to us and exaggerate and talk all the time about the negative things. Sometimes people are complaining and they start to believe themselves, and because it's a part of their mindset. They start to believe that they are in a very bad condition. I asked her, do you take any supplies or any help? I discovered they have already, not bad, of course it's not great, but still it's not bad, and still she can work and she can help herself. But they are a little bit, I don't want to say lazy, but they didn't used to work harder or to try to work on themselves to improve their skills. So awareness is very important part to make everybody understand he can what is the best he can have, or he can even improve himself to be in a better situation. But if we are talking about the supplies or the any kind of social protection, it will never be enough if you don't have a wise look and understanding of the circumcision of your country and of your the happening crisis all over the world. But of course, we need more understanding from people.
Well, the purpose of these social protection programs and really and the increase of the budget allocated for it is really trying to help the citizens during the time of crises, the time of inflation that really started about 3 or 4 years ago by the coronavirus pandemic, and then followed up by the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. Are we expecting, well, hopefully these conflicts would end? I mean, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, which truly affects the food and energy sort of supply. If it does end soon enough, do you expect these social protection programs to continue their work, and would that be the norm now within the Egyptian society and the Egyptian economy, having these social protection programs covering the needs of the most needy?
We have to know that the system of the social protection is not just to supply people with their needs and donations and just help them all the time. They should understand that we are just making the ignition, the beginning of being independent. So the most important part of the social protection is to improve your skills, to improve your awareness, to support you until you start to be independent, not to be needy all the time. This is the success or the real success of the program, and I think we are working hard in this battle, and we achieved much good results, especially in parallel with the new projects, new cities and industrial cities, and the different projects like agricultural or even the mining. We are in many fields starting to open job opportunities. But we need trained people and skilled people to transform them from a needy people to a working people and independent, and having more dreams of being in a better and much stronger situation.
Yes. Well, how do we, because you've mentioned that it might be a cultural challenge for many Egyptians, that people would get used to just basically a strategy or a mechanism of cash from government to the hand, from hand to hand, and that would be it. How would we actually encourage people or help raise the awareness of the Egyptian citizen? Or should there actually be much more than just raising awareness, but actually having some sort of rules and regulations and measures and instructions that if you don't fulfill certain standards or meet certain standards, fulfill the criteria, find a job, have your own income, you won't be eligible to benefit from certain, or at least the same amount from social protection programs? How can we actually help motivate the citizens to climb out of the poverty bracket?
We have to look at the experiences of the others. For example, in most of the Western countries, they give a pension for people who are not working for 6 months only. After 6 months, you don't have right to take money. So they give them a chance for 6 months to improve themselves, to find a new job, to discover even new career. Also, we have to work a little bit stronger because we are very passionate people. And for example, if somebody is trying to fire a worker because he is very lazy and he's not working hard, most of the people will say, "You are very cruel, it's unfair, please give him a chance, he has kids." And this way of thinking actually gives us very bad results, because we have mistakes in working, we have late timetable of whatever the production is. But we have to be stronger to understand that the best way to make people learn how to respect work is hire and fire. He will be fired from this job. Next job, he will be very keen to keep the high standard, not to be fired again.
How soon? How soon should our social protection programs or the state focusing on having harder sort of rules and regulations for those who benefit the social protection programs, or is it unfair to actually try and do that now in a time of inflation and global economic crisis?
We have to work on parallel lines. We are trying to be very helpful and understanding, and in the same time we are trying to be restricted to the rules, not to accept the manipulation or maluse of the benefits that the people have. And awareness, the most important actually part. If people understand, I hope they can make monthly awareness session before they receive their pension, to make them forcibly listen and give them even some profits or some prices according to the program will be tailored. It will help a lot people to understand and to improve themselves.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the World Bank has actually announced that Egypt is among the leading countries within the Middle East and North African region in terms of social protection programs. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
Egypt is leading among countries in the Middle East and North Africa in providing social protection program, according to recent World Bank report, which titled "Built to Include Reimagining Social Protection in the Middle East and North Africa." The report shed light on key factors that impact people's economic conditions in MENA. It said Egypt is among the few countries in the region that has built a shock-responsive system to deliver income support to the poor. The report showed that Egypt, alongside Jordan, are the only countries in MENA region whose cash transfer programs cover most of the poor. According to the report, government assistance benefits 25% of the poorest households in Egypt, and the country's social protection registries cover more than 50% of the population. The World Bank report stated that Egypt's food subsidy program is the largest in MENA. The bread subsidy program alone serves 72 million citizens, while the food ration cards cover more than 64 million people. The report noted that the food subsidy program has a larger impact than any program, including Takaful and Karama. However, Takaful and Karama are more cost-effective, as many of food subsidies go to non-vulnerable households. It is estimated that Takaful and Karama are reaching up to 5 million households in 2023, making it the largest poverty-targeted conditional cash transfer in the Middle East and North Africa. The report mentioned that around 68% of informal workers in 2012 were still informal through 2018, while 19% of them became unemployed or left the labor force. It further said half of the informal wage workers in Egypt lost their jobs between February 2020 and February 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, while the ramifications of the Ukrainian war pushed more people in the country into poverty. The report claimed that at least two-thirds of private sector workers in MENA's middle-income countries, including Egypt, are working in informal jobs as employees in low-productivity micro-enterprises with fewer than 10 workers. Over 90% of Egyptian youth are working in informal jobs. The country has announced that the budget for subsidy and social protection networks would increase from 358.4 Egyptian pounds in fiscal year 2022-2023 to 529.7 billion Egyptian pounds in fiscal year 2023-2024, an increase of 48.8%. It said that many informal wage workers in Egypt, Jordan, Tunisia, and the West Bank and Gaza live in households that are among the poorest 40% of the population. Private sector pension coverage is only 50% in Egypt, while there is no minimum wage protection in the sector. The report said a child born today in a poor family in Egypt can only achieve 50% of his or her economic potential because of inadequate health and education investments. The report noted that job opportunities in the private sector for Egyptian university graduates have been declining over the past few decades, while informal jobs were increasing. According to official statistics, the number of annual university graduates in Egypt reached 505,000 in 2021. Minister of Planning Halal Saeed said the government had applied several social protection programs in light of the economic global crisis and the hike of commodity prices.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Hawla. Doctor, now, the World Bank has actually allocated about $500 million in financing to expand Egypt's social protection programs, and it also aspires to go beyond the basic cash from hand to hand sort of mechanism and try to help citizens overcome their own or climb out their poverty bracket, have their own startups, becoming entrepreneurs, private sort of businesses. How feasible is that, and how soon can that happen, turning a family or a citizen from basically receiving monthly cash from the social protection programs to actually start having their own business, or at least getting a job, or at least having some sort of a sustainable income for him or herself and their family?
We have also to mention the culture. People in Egypt very emotional, and there is a kind of cooperation between people and helping each other to the negative extent, to the extent that we don't put people in the hard challenge to work. For example, if you look to the skeleton of the Egyptian family, you will find the sons to the age of 25, 27, still getting money from his mother and go to the cafe with his friends, enjoying his time, and wake up very late. I cannot find a job. If in comparison, if you go to the foreign, the Western community, you will find the young youth will be kicked out from the house. Either you work, you be independent, or don't come back. This way, of course, it looks unhuman and very cruel of them, but actually it built up the personality of the person and makes him independent and understand life is not easy, life is rough. So I help our people understand and try not to be to the bad extent, but at least not to just spoil our kids to the extent they don't have challenge in their lives.
Yes. Well, we've mentioned before the state's initiative, the shoulder-to-shoulder initiative that was about really distributing about 4 million boxes of food products to the families. It's much more than a health issue, it has a lot of socioeconomic repercussions. But would you say that this is an initiative, or this concept of actually distributing food boxes, which is something that is Egyptians are used to, at least during the holy month of Ramadan, but now it could happen off season as well. Do you think that this is actually more beneficial than just handing out cash, or do people want the money and they don't want the food, they want to spend it whichever way they actually want?
You have different aspects and the negative and positive sides of both ways. And I'm against both of them. The first point is distributing goods will be initiating black market somehow. And giving money will make bad use of it by the father of or whoever responsible of the family, and they will take the money and go and drink some cigarettes and maluse the money. So we have to put little bit stronger rules. And I prefer not to distribute randomly. I prefer to put it with the monthly tamween, the monthly
supply.
card, the monthly card supply, to make people understand and feel. Because if you try to make a system of distribution, like actually a food bank has its own system of database. But if you make it all connected with the main network of the supply card of the Ministry of Traders, it will help to control and to prevent the maluse and prevent the black market. This is part of it. Also, for giving money, I hope we make the concept of giving money is just a training help, or a training reward, instead of just a donation or a pension every month. So they will have the feeling of it's temporary, because people are not supposed to receive help until the end of their life, except of course elderly, or if they have severe handicap. We at Taban, of course, appreciate and understand. But normal person and normal lady, even if she has kids, she should understand that she has a capability to be a positive worker in the community. She should help herself and help her community, not just waiting for to receive supports and help. So I hope all the system should be temporary, not permanent, to make people understand they have to move over and to move ahead, not just standing in the same situation waiting for more help.
Dr. Hawla, on March 13th of 2022, the National Coalition for Developmental Civil Work was launched, which actually included about 34 civil work institutions working in different sort of various sectors and industry in different places around the country. How much will the civil work institutions help maybe enhance the work of the social protection programs, and also try and merge the social protection programs within the sustainable developmental work that could be done with an initiative such as the Decent Life Initiative, for instance?
The secret or the magic word is implementation. Theoretically, it's great, but the implementation, different, make big difference from area to area, according to the social workers, or according to the support from the people in the community. For implementation of the minimal even plan will achieve great progress.
Dr. Hawla, one final question. I mean, you've been working in developmental work, among many other things, for many years now. How much of a difference, or how big of a difference, have you noticed with the progress in terms of social protection programs, developmental work, state initiatives, Was there a big change in terms of development and progress? And what sort of challenges or obstacles still need to be overcome?
Of course, I'm very, I can say, very happy of the changes we are recognizing on the ground. At least the trust. People used not to trust the words of the government or any plans because they used to hear a lot, but no, nothing they can touch on the ground. But now they are starting to build up a trust and start to be cooperative more and understand they can help and they can really find great change in their lives. So I'm very happy with whatever we have, but still we are in the very beginning of a long road we have to go through.
Are there certain recurrent challenges or problems that you feel a lot of the civil society or civil work institutions or NGOs are facing within their developmental work?
Of course, first thing, the terrible monster of corruption we used to suffer from. Now we are much better than before, but still we are suffering. And the big point that people themselves, it becomes part of our habits that we are facing or watching the corruption with negative reactions. If everybody starts to fight for his right and for the others' rights and not to be afraid of the sequences will be happening, we will achieve much faster results.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a lot of work has, a lot of efforts really exerted by the government in terms of social protection programs, in terms of presidential initiatives and state initiatives, the Decent Life Initiative, Takaful and Karama, Solidarity and Dignity, Shoulder to Shoulder, 100 Healthy Lives, 100 Days of Health. Many initiatives in terms of development work, health sector, education, food supplies, a lot of subsidies as well, still for petroleum products and other essential commodities. And still a lot more work needs to be done by our citizens and also the government. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my distinguished guest, Dr. Amany Hawla, the social development expert. Dr. Hawla, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.